love to take a photograph. So mama, don't take my chrome away.
Rhonda and her guests will share home movie stories that will tug at your heartstrings. You'll learn how to organize, digitize, share on social media, and use your home movies as genealogy research. Learn how to repurpose or even monetize found footage. This is the Home Movie Legacy Project. And now, here's your host, Rhonda Vigeant.
And welcome to the Home Movie Legacy Project, where we focus on exposing real solutions to create a media legacy that lives. End of June, guys, end of June. So it's just unbelievable. The year's just flying by. Hopefully you'll spend some time this summer with your kids, organizing your home movies, getting those oral histories taken. If you've already transferred your stuff, enjoy it, watch it. It's a great time to get the kids engaged in their family history. I have quite a few clients from the organization I'm involved in, APO, the Association of Personal Photo Organizers, who are getting some summer projects going with their clients and their kids. So perfect time to start working now on that holiday greeting card that you're going to send out next December using your analog footage. And we're going to be launching another home movie education class starting in October. And I've had many of you write to me and ask me about the class, which we've only been playing as reruns the last couple of months. So if you want to sign up for home movie education, go to homemovielegacy.com and click the link, Home Movie Education. I'm running an early bird special for $198 between now and August 15th. And then after that, it'll go up to $298, and we launch the first week in October. So plenty of time to take the class, plenty of time to think about what kind of projects you want to make with your archival material for the holiday season or any other celebrations you have coming up this year. And if you have any questions about the classes, email me, Rhonda@homemovielegacy.com. Well, one of the things that I'd like to talk about today that I've just been more on my radar lately is the international state of Super 8 filmmaking and archiving, because, while we do feel that our services and products and, opportunities to create media or to archive and preserve media are shrinking here in the United States, it's even worse in some other countries, as labs are closing because there isn't as much celluloid being shot, as Kodak no longer has local offices in many of the countries, towns, and cities that they once did. It's becoming really problematic for people who want to keep shooting on film. For a long time, our philosophy here at Pro 8mm has been the future of film is film. That means if you want film to be there in the future, you have to shoot it in the present. So there really is a huge dilemma for people who no longer have these products as accessible to them as they once did. And while, many people still can order from Kodak, no matter what country they live in, they may not necessarily be easily able to find the lab services. In some countries, the cost of now importing film has gotten exorbitantly expensive because they can't get it from a local rep or a local office anymore. So that's kind of going to be our topic of conversation today. So I have a couple of experts I'd like to weigh in. So I'd like to introduce Ivan Cordero, who's here with me in studio. Hi, Ivan.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. And Phil is going to weigh in on some of the other things that he's been involved in internationally. So Phil, hi.
Hi, Rhonda. How are you?
Great, great. So Ivan, I'm so glad you're back with us. I think I interviewed you about 1.5 years ago
Yes.
when you were bringing some films here at Pro 8mm to be transferred that you had shot, some archival material. So give us a little bit about your background.
Yes, my background is of a filmmaker in Brazil. I started my career there shooting Super 8 because Super 8 was accessible, had the portability, and it was affordable. And I had a camera, and my grandfather taught me how to use it. So I had everything, like they say, you have the bread and butter. And then I started doing like documentaries about my city, and one of them was about the movie houses, and that's the one that we restored here, and he had an amazing run in Brazil at this festival. Opened up the festival in 2013 in Recife. with 400 people in the theater, and I had to talk about it, and it was an amazing, amazing, unforgettable night.
Fantastic. And so, yeah, I know that we get a lot of clients from Brazil calling us here at Pro 8 Millimeter, wanting to buy film, wanting to perhaps send in film for processing and transfer. So I think the love of film and celluloid in Brazil is still pretty strong, right?
It is pretty strong. In fact, the real movie makers, the real filmmakers there prefer to shoot in film than digital because they say the digital image has a pasteurized look.
Yes.
And the film is film, it has the grain, it has the depth, it's like a breathing, matter. And so there is, as here in the United States, there is some people that wanted to continue shooting film. So in Brazil, and mostly in Brazil are the ones that are serious about filmmaking shot in film.
Right. So it's my understanding, though, it's harder to get film in Brazil. Is that true?
It is hard to get film in Brazil. Plus, it's very expensive because the taxes in Brazil. In fact, some of the movie makers come here to the United States and they buy remnants. They buy like pieces that some productions didn't use, and they buy them at a discount price. In fact, one of the filmmakers in Brazil, Daniel Aragão, which is in my city, posts a photo on Facebook showing him going back to Brazil with this cart full of cans, that was great.
Did he put it in his luggage?
No, it was outside because
right.
you cannot put in a luggage.
Right,
It's
right.
kind of cumbersome, right?
Well, no, it's the X-ray.
The X-rays, right? And then it was very fun. I'll see if I can get this photo to send you
That's
guys.
a riot. I'd
and
love
put it
that.
on social media.
Right.
It was all film.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about heavy duties in Brazil, and you already have to go to so many, expenses,
Sure.
for you to buy the materials to shoot at the very premium price is very much.
One thing that somebody asked me about recently is, can you buy from other South American countries without paying the duties? And I was talking about import-export, and they say, yeah, if you send something directly to Brazil, you get clobbered with that 100% duty thing. But if you ship it down to Costa Rica, and then from Costa Rica you send it to Brazil, then you don't have to pay all those taxes.
It is true, because some of these countries, they have a treaty, which is the Mercosul, which is a kind of a NAFTA. If it's in South America, I don't know if it extends to Latin America, but I know within South America, the duties are much lower than outside this Mercosul treaty, So we have a better taxes. A better, duties,
So maybe that's a possibility to get film into Brazil, is to go through another country.
Yes, you do like a triangle.
Yeah,
Triangle thing. It's you have someone in some country that can ship it to Brazil,
right?
And then kind of a bypass the duties.
Well, it's just it's incredibly expensive. I mean, the government is asking for 100% duty on the stuff going into Brazil. So if we send $1,000 thing of film or transfer or something, the government wants to collect $1,000 on top of that. So we've had a couple of shipments where we've sent the film, and then they didn't realize how big the duties were. We always say we're not responsible for the duties, but of course they didn't know that the duty would be the same price as the item. Then they don't want it. They're like, no, well, I can't pay that much money for, they got a good price for it in the United States, but now they can't really have it in Brazil.
It is a big surprise, and because you have to pay anyways, otherwise they're not going to release the film.
Yeah.
And then in fact, some of these guys would rather come to the United States and pay a ticket.
It's cheaper.
It's much cheaper. They can get some deals here, in Hollywood, and go back to Brazil and not paying duties, or try not to.
Yeah.
You know.
So there really aren't very many labs there either anymore? Are there still film labs that process film?
There is some film labs, but I don't think they process Super 8.
Yeah, so what we've discovered about the market is that there are 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter type labs still functioning in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, they are the distributors for Kodak film in Brazil. And because they run a 16 lab, they're not very anxious to sell Super 8 film.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
So
right.
now, though, the guy in Brazil that's the distributor, who normally would be the one supplying film, is not interested to sell the film. That's why people buy it from us in the United States, because they only want to sell what they can process. Which I understand from a business standpoint. It's like, I would do the same if it was me. I just think it's a very bad thing for Kodak to have said, okay, let's make the labs the distributors. And of course, those labs will not support all the other products that Kodak has in their catalog. So filmmakers are really getting gypped in terms of what Kodak offers, because the only thing they get offered in Brazil is the things that those labs will process.
Right, which is 16 and 35. And I don't think there are many 16 anymore, you know, mostly 35.
Yeah, well, the labs have control, so they might not, for example, they might not do printing for 16. They only do printing for 35. So they want to get the guy who, you know, is going to shoot 35 because he's going to make a print too.
Right.
And they don't want the guy who does 16 because he doesn't want to make a print. You know, like these things are always happening in the market, you know, in terms of what's going on. But it's just a bad situation for people in Brazil because you know, Kodak really should be supporting their products. Right.
But it's at the mercy of the government, of the taxation, you know?
Yeah.
And then you have to find a way to do your film as cheap as you can because
most of filmmaking, right?
Right.
Always finding a cheap way to make your film.
Right. And most of these films are subsidized by some cultural fund.
Oh, I see.
And they give you like a, you know, not enough to make it. So, you know what I mean? You have just to... in fact, there is this term there in my city called brodagem.
Brodagem?
Brodagem is an alliteration of a language, you know.
Uh-huh.
You have the brother to brother kind of thing. Okay, I do camera for you, you do sound for me. So this is a brother to brother thing, and it's a brodagem.
So next time we go to Boston, Phil, we'll have to say, because that's what they do back east where we're from.
Yeah, it's a lot of trade, not a lot of...
I love that.
Right. All right, we're going to be going to commercial break. Stick with us, everybody. You won't want to miss about the international state of Super 8. We'll be back after this break.
I love to take a photograph.
Raising the consciousness as to why home movies are so important. This is the Home Movie Legacy Project with Rhonda Vigeant. And we'll be back with more right after these on Rockstar Worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you to create indestructible wealth. Get ready for wealth with Paul Mata and create indestructible wealth. Learn how to make, sustain, and protect your wealth in any economy. Listen live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern and on demand 24/7 right here on Rockstar Worldwide. Paul Mata is the creator of the system for creating indestructible wealth. Paul will share easy tips and strategies on how you can grow all of your assets so you can live an abundant and prosperous life. Each high-energy show will feature interviews with experts who will help you on your path to creating indestructible wealth. For more on Paul, the show, and his Create Indestructible Wealth boot camps, check out Create Indestructible Wealth with Paul Mata or go to createindestructiblewealth.com. Learn how to make, sustain, and protect your wealth in any economy so you can live an abundant and prosperous life with a passion to serve others. Are you excited about getting your home movies and photos organized, but don't know where to start? Well, the Association of Personal Photo Organizers, www.appo.org, can help. The photo organizers are made up of a community of people. They're organizers, photographers, graphic designers, storytellers, historians, people just like you who love photos, home movies, and most importantly, the stories they tell. Through training, education, networking, and collaboration, the Association of Personal Photo Organizers strives to advance this new and growing profession of photo life management. Our hundreds of trained personal photo organizers specialize in helping you rescue your irreplaceable photos and home movies and organize them in ways that make it simple to share your memories, lives, and traditions. Our goal is to help you make those distant memories tangible so you can cherish the life that you share with others. If you need help, look for a personal photo organizer near you by going to appo.org. We are excited and ready to help. Welcome back to the Home Movie Legacy Project, showcasing compelling interviews with people who are telling their personal stories. Rhonda is all about preserving our visual heritage for generations to come before it's too late. So let's get back to the show. It's the Home Movie Legacy Project on Rockstar Worldwide. And here again is your host, Rhonda Vigeant.
And welcome back to our show today, where we're talking about the international state of Super 8. We have our guest here, Ivan Cordero, who is a Brazilian filmmaker, been living in LA for a long time, and Phil Vigeant weighing in. And so you won't want to miss the rest of the show. So before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about how hard it is to get services in Brazil. And we came up with this great word, brodagem.
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 Yes, how people...
Is a help from brother to brother.
Brother to brother. Okay, it's a great word. It's a great word. So, so like anything else, you need support to get things done. But, it's difficult because, as we were saying while we were at the break, that there is an analog resurgence of such, yes?
Yes, there is a resurgence, especially with the millennials, They call them millennials, a new generation. They are going back into analog photography, and like cameras like rangefinders, it's not even through lens. It's not the real true light cameras, right? Those old cameras are back, and I see a resurgence on Super 8 because I guess because of the social media right now.
Right.
There you have the amazing amount of video that can be disseminated, and everybody can watch it in the world at a certain time. And the power of video is fantastic.
It really is. And, as we know, film transfer to digital, looks amazing. The power of Super 8 has never been stronger in terms of not only how great it looks on digital, but like you just said, having those clips go viral.
It goes viral.
Right. So to me, there seems to be like a disconnect here, because on the one hand, there's a resurgence for analog. On the other hand, people are having a hard time getting products and services. So what's the solution? How can we put more analog material and services into the hands of more people?
Well, I think part of the issue is that we're connected to people all over the globe now. So we've found our community, but our community is no longer local.
Right.
So we were just talking about a guy we have met from Spain who has great presence, very articulate, kind of guy, and just the kind of guy you want to hang out with if you're into Super 8. Unfortunately, he lives in Spain.
Right.
So the internet gives us the ability to talk with him and ability to share visually, because we can send a video over Facebook and stuff like that. But the product thing is still a little bit difficult to go between him and us. One thing that we've done is open up this global access kind of thing where we can send people's processed and transferred film back to them over the internet. So that's I hope is going to bridge some of this gap. But still there's difficulty in finding the stuff when you're so damn spread out. I mean, when we talk, we're like... Right. I mean, I got this guy from Russia that I talked to, and another guy from Singapore, and another guy from Chile. And like we're all sitting yakking away
all over the world.
All over the world, right?
And it's like, but the impracticality of doing something together physically is, particularly in analog world, is like, oh my God, this is impossible. He can't send his camera to me to get fixed.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, well, first of all, I've long thought there would be great value in having a Super 8 summit with sort of the people who are really, pushing the format in their particular countries, getting together and getting together to do some brainstorming how we can best support each other.
Right.
But the reality is you can ship anything anywhere. It's really not as impractical as you think. I mean, the New Yorkers get upset they have to send stuff to
Yeah,
LA,
New
right?
Yorkers
It's
are
like they
upset
can't believe
because-
they can't do it in New York. You're like, is there anybody who does what you do in New York? I'm like, well, not really. You mean I got to send it all the way to LA? But we joke about it, but the reality is it's no different than coming from Brazil. Overnight shipping is amazing. And you can offer global access to all your products and services if you want them bad enough.
Right.
And I think also the corporations that manufacture film, it should be aware of this resurgence. They, most of these guys, they live in, another world. The
Yeah.
corporate world is different from, the production world. The nitty gritty of making movies and stuff. Because Super 8 is being used in a lot of places now. I just saw a commercial of Burberry.
Uh-huh,
It was very nicely done.
Yes.
And then it was shot in Super 8. It's really beautiful. Fashion is using it. A lot of our commercials are using it for different products, because they like the look. It's something is different, but it's been here for a long time.
Right. And it's fairly easy to use, even if you don't know that much about film.
Right. And I think the corporation should be aware of that and should be make filming much widely available for the filmmakers like it was before. You could buy this on a pharmacy.
Absolutely. It's probably the first American word that every foreigner knew. Because anywhere they go, they'd see the word Kodak, which isn't even a real word. It was a made-up word.
Wow.
When you think about it, I've been in tiny little villages in Africa, and you see the word Kodak outside their little convenience store, right?
Isn't that amazing?
It is.
It is.
It really is amazing.
Yes. And if Kodak or any other company would make the film much more available, guess what? The name will be persistent,
Right.
in their
Grow.
people's memories, and they'll never forget,
Yeah. Well, they got some complication there now because there's really two companies who are called Kodak. There's one company that works in motion picture business that's called Kodak, and one that works in still photography that's called Kodak Elias. And although these companies claim that they're going and working together, let's face it, how many guys want to promote something where somebody else is going to make half the money with the name?
Right.
So they put themselves in some weird pickles here, in terms of promotion. Because if you're promoting as Kodak Motion Picture and you're promoting Kodak, you're also promoting this other company, which has doesn't have that much to do with you. Although I think things are going between the companies. They're selling certain supplies and stuff like that. But they're two companies. They're two completely different entities that have their own interests.
So they don't have that much synergy between them.
It's not all about their brand, and they've got some complications that they're straddled with right now.
Wow.
But with that said, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to have your products available to your customers.
Right. At a good price, a good service,
They're trying to figure out. I mean, we've met some of the new folks that are coming on board, both domestically and internationally, but in some ways they're like a brand new company. They have to, what do they say? You have to have complete breakdown to have breakthrough. And they're still trying to figure out who they are. And I mean this with, this is coming from a place of admiration, but they have to accept the fact they're not the mighty Kodak they once were, and allow other people who have, really taken a stand for Super 8 to help support them to accomplish some of the things they want to do. Because what used to work in the past is not going to work in the present.
Right.
They are a boutique company, and most of the people supporting the format are also boutique companies.
Yeah, no, I mean, take that Cinegear show. That was a great synergetic kind of presence that we achieved between Kodak and Pro 8mm at the Cinegear show, right? Because we were both there. I mean, that never would have happened, 5 years ago, because Kodak would have dominated the conversation and would not have wanted to participate with another company. Mm-hmm. But by participating with us at this time, we're able to bring together all the elements that are required for a good time.
And also you brought the content.
That's right.
Because the content is still the king.
That's right.
Exactly.
They can have the
They got the hot dogs, but
Right.
we had the rolls.
Exactly, yeah. And
So
it was an
together,
amazing.
we had a good barbecue.
I had a great time there. I was impressed how many people went there, and was really shooting and commenting and really excited about it.
Yes, yeah, and there was a sort of vitality to
Vitality.
what was going on. But if all they were there to do is just sit there as they have been and just talking about the 16 millimeter film they have and the 35 film they have, they wouldn't have that excitement that you had at that booth, which was young people coming and taking a Super 8 camera out and going to shoot. And I think personally, it really made the old ASC cinematographer people that were there much more excited about what they are a part of, because it wasn't
Definitely.
just like the old guys holding on and talking about the old days. They were like, oh boy, look at young guys are
Right.
all like excited about this stuff. Maybe we can have a good conversation about film together.
Yes, and they can do it right now. When
Yeah.
can I shoot it? Right now.
Right
Right.
now.
This is the camera and this is the film.
Yes.
Right now, go shoot.
Yeah.
And they
Exactly.
loved it.
Yeah.
I shot a lot of the other people shooting.
Right.
It was
You
like
saw
a
the
meta
excitement.
cinema.
It
But
was fun.
It was fun.
fun.
It was fun. And
So, with this whole idea of bringing it and putting it into the hands of the people, Ivan, I'm so grateful that you've asked Phil and I to come to Brazil and do some workshops. So let's talk a little bit about that. What is your thought behind that?
this festival that we're going is an amazing festival. It happens in Recife, in the state of Pernambuco. It has a very vibrant cinema. I went there 2 years, and it's done by this Fundação Joaquim Nabuco and a lot of other cultural organs. There's a lot of other people that sponsor, and it's a very serious festival because the curator picks very nice films and also a lot of good people to work there. And then this workshop that we're going to be doing there is going to be on Super 8. And we're going to be teaching the kids how to use the camera, how to shoot one roll film, because most of the students now, they use digital.
Right.
They don't use anything else because it's prohibitive to use 16 or 35. Don't even talk about that,
Yes.
So the ability of them to have access to Super 8 cameras, to have the access of you two guys going there, your knowledge, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I
Good.
think so too.
Yeah, and if we could, get the local Kodak guy, on the page, that could be even more help and to bring that together. Says he could be the one to supply, film materials, in the country.
I agree. And if the person in charge of Kodak, that might be a Latin America, South America, I don't know the person, but if the person knows that the thing is going to be in Brazil,
Mhm.
they'll go.
Yeah.
Because a vibrant place, nice people, very interested, you are in a session there in a cinema, and then you have the best of in town of the people, all the technicians,
Right.
Yeah.
and some films are made there because people go to these festivals to meet,
Yes.
each other, because you can do cinema by yourself.
Yeah.
Right,
You have-
exactly.
you have to
Filmmaking's
team
a
up.
collaborative.
It's a great
process.
networking
Right.
opportunity.
Got to make friends.
Right, and it's funny because the film that you guys edit for me, scan it, opened another film. There was a film about a place that existed when in my teenager times, and there was a lot of Super 8 shots because the main character, Jomar Muniz de Brito, was a professor, part of the intelligentsia, the Brazilian intelligence, and he did a lot of Super 8 films. So all the shots, that he did, they kind of emulated again, and it was all done in Super 8. So we screened the Super 8 first, and then we screened a 35 millimeter afterwards, called Tattoo, very amazing film, with Super 8 footage in there.
Wow, that's cool.
It's like a film within a film within a film, transcending its times,
Something, I had a conversation with somebody because I was thinking about it yesterday, and I asked Ken Rosenthal if we could screen Crooked Beauty in Brazil, and he said yes.
Oh, okay, great.
That'd be great.
So this is a very wonderful film. We have to think about how to translate it because I think it needs to have.
Well, he's already had it translated in several languages, so you probably
really?
yeah.
I think he has a.
Don't you remember he had it transferred in Spanish, and he also has it already transferred in Hebrew.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, it was done in Super 8?
Yes.
Oh yeah. This is a whole.
Ken has been on the show twice for his show for his amazing
This is a
film
perfect
Crooked Beauty.
film for this particular thing because it's commercial but it's artsy. It's a very visual film. It's about the disease bipolar, and it's done in the first person of a woman who has this bipolar sickness, and her, going through, dealing with people and her parents and the drugs and the whole, everything that happened to her, in terms of who she is as a bipolar person. And the film is screened all over the United States for mental health professionals to learn about what's going on in terms of that illness. But it's a very creative way of, it's not a talking heads, the old kind of mental health films where they roll somebody out in a wheelchair and they're like screaming out their nose and stuff like that, right? Like this sort of classic mental health like kind of stuff. And then there's this very beautiful, mostly black and white, mostly time lapse footage of San Francisco, and the footage has very little actually to do with the men, but visually it mates up with the thinking of the thing just perfectly. It's all in the mind. Wow. Kind of thing, and it's just been a fabulous film that this kid made, and so I was really excited for it. And he's a little, he doesn't want to show it everywhere. I mean, he's got to make a living, with this film. Basically, he was able to quit his full-time job as a professor and follow this film and show this film for about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Is it his recent film?
Yeah, just like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
3-4 years
Crooked
ago.
Beauty.
Crooked Beauty.
Cricket?
Crooked. Like
Crooked.
something that's
Like-
not straight, it's crooked.
Okay.
It's called Crooked Beauty.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic film.
wanna
It's not a
watch it.
full length. It's
I have a copy of it here, I think, on DVD.
Oh,
I'll give it
good.
to you.
It's like a 45-minute movie. But you see that how, like we were talking about specialty markets, right? I don't know that he knew when he made it that it was going to have this, but you have conventions of mental health professionals getting together for week conferences. Well, what do they do at the conference? They study their mental health, and at night they either have lectures or how about a film? So when something called the Alternative Mental Health Organization had their big convention in Anaheim, they invited Ken to bring his film and screen, as the opening night of the convention. They have a film, instead of just having a party and all drinking. Right. So after that experience, I think Ken realized the potential of the film as an educational tool, not just as I think he made it as an artistic film, not as an education film, but it really does explain the disease in a way that books just don't do it, and so he's wound up going around the entire United States screening this film for organizations, and it's required in some schools, the guidance counseling in schools. They want them to watch the film so that they can recognize when kids have this disorder. And it's a better teaching way of teaching somebody, oh, this is what to look out for if someone has bipolar.
Well, I think in every culture, documentaries have played a very, prolific part in how we educate the general public.
Yeah, because it's art and it's entertainment and it's information.
A lot of films have been used. People that have Alzheimer's disease,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and they screen the film so they can get some residual memory that's still in there. Especially like in memory films, for the family.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Which
that's
is
why I
amazing.
think home movies are so important.
Mm-hmm.
Home movies and, how they could be used in Alzheimer's treatment. I mean, I'm still looking for my expert guest to come on the show to talk about that. I've been kind of looking for somebody who really is an expert in the use of, films and photos and memory care. But it makes sense. For sure.
There's also other film festivals, right? In Brazil, there's one very old
It is
Super 8 only thing. Just like there's one in the United States that's Super 8 only.
Yeah, there is a good festival that happens in Curitiba, in the state of Paraná. And I think this year is going to be the 11th festival.
Wow.
And they do the Tomada Única, which is one row.
They're doing a one roll thing.
One row thing.
They've all caught on to that, huh?
And I really like to go and see it. It's, done very nicely. They don't use electric projection. They don't use DCPs.
Oh, really?
They use real projectors. They get the projector in the middle of the theater, and they project, and you can hear the machine going on, And I saw just a thing on them on their social media on Facebook, and I was impressed with the quality, of the festival.
Yeah.
And there's other festivals also, in Brazil, in Super 8 in São Paulo, in Brasilia, I think has another one too, and it's like a very popular right now because people see that as a free cinema. I can do whatever I want.
Right.
It's like writing a poem. I had this inspiration. I can have prose, or I can go berserk and do a concrete poem with my camera. And you have this amazing look of film. And I've seen some of the films, very amazing quality.
Yeah.
Especially the black and white. They have some very good expressiveness. And I also like the very personal films.
Yeah.
Because films can be very personal for the person that make it.
Yeah.
But it's universal for the people that watch it.
Yes.
That's
exactly
I really like I make personal films.
Yeah.
And then people say, "Oh, this is very personal." Well, it is personal for me, but let's project in Zambia and see what they say.
Yes.
It's universal.
I find it's really interesting, like the One Roll Film Festival that we always go to in Virginia. There's a broad diversity of people. Like you have the artists that make films, and they, I don't want to say they almost make certain classic kinds of films because they're artists, but the whole point of this festival is to solicit people that aren't filmmakers to make films. So they try to get the bartender to make a film, and they try to get the guy who works at the gas station to make a film, and it always intrigues me the most. It's nice, the clever stuff that the people who are film literate know how to do, the little the animations and the things like it's artistically really beautiful. But it's those films made by, there was a girl who made one the last time I was there about immigration and
Angela,
how,
I still remember her name.
right, and it just like bam, hit you right between the eyes of how difficult it is to emigrate and to be an immigrant and to not have legal status in the United States and to like be hiding, and and you're not looking at some ugly farm working type looking immigrant. You're looking at a young, attractive, everything in life is ahead of her kind of person, but yet she's going through this whole struggle of like not being legally here and dealing with the whole like kind of stuff. And
all of this in one roll of film?
All in one roll of silent film.
It is amazing because you have to edit inside the...
Has to edit in the roll.
In the roll.
To convey the point and to get it across to everybody within that 3 minutes without a soundtrack. They can do a soundtrack. I think she did a voiceover. Yeah, so
afterwards.
So you record it. You don't see a film, and you send it in with the film.
Oh, that's amazing.
It is really amazing.
It is amazing.
And they do a poster contest, and
none of these people have seen this. The excitement in the theater is just unmatched.
It's a big surprise when they.
It's a big surprise because everyone's so
the
anxious about everything from did it even come out.
Yes, and that's the thing. That's the magic's back,
Yeah.
When you have the digital stuff, you already know. You're already like bored with it,
Yeah.
And the film, says we're gonna have to send it to be processed. You're anxious to see it, how
like
it
Christmas
comes out.
morning, right?
Right. And it says, "Oh my God, the thing just." And when I have that, it says, "Oh my God, my heart is,
Yeah.
going crazy."
It's
he
so
was sick.
sharp, or it's
So
like, oh my
sharp.
God, I screwed up and it's all out of focus.
Exactly.
Right?
Or sometimes the autofocus becomes like a,
Right. An artistic
An
moment
artistic
or something
endeavor.
like it's silence or something like that.
Right.
It's really goes well.
It goes well.
It doesn't sound like it's your work. Have you described this thing to me that people are going to get a camera, like people who didn't know anything about filmmaking, they were going to try to make a film of their own kind of choosings. And who was the kid that won that year? He was autistic, or
Yes,
An
Down
autistic person.
syndrome. He
Down
was
syndrome
Down
kid
syndrome.
who lives on the streets. I mean, he lives on the streets, and I don't know how they got the camera to him and how that got organized, but he made his own film about his life and what he sees and what he wants to do and what he wants
It
to.
was really
oh my God!
very
Everyone
powerful
in the thing was crying when the film was over.
Wow.
Like, just couldn't believe that this kid would, because that's like you say, it's a personal expression
Right.
of.
Well, that's the power of Super 8 film. And so to kind of get a little bit more back on track to our topic today, I believe that the potential for this to have a resurgence universally is never been greater.
Right.
But, there's millions of cameras out there. Even though there aren't a lot of labs, I mean, we live in a world where you can have things delivered overnight. You can have products returned digitally. And so, what are some of the things that those of us who are passionate about this can do? I am so grateful that you're inviting us to Brazil to do a workshop. How can we get other countries to do similar things?
What I think we should do is ask all these filmmakers that shot in Super 8 and have things dormant, to scan them, put out on a public domain.
Yeah.
So all those things will be influencing next generations.
Absolutely. Well, to me, that's why I do the show. It's a big part of the Home Movie Legacy Project. Home Movies doesn't just include what Dad shot in the backyard. It talks about all the amazing amateur films that have been shot over these last 50 years. And I could not agree with you more. I actually talked to the guy who runs the New Jersey Super 8 Film Festival. They've been doing it for 50 years. They've been doing it since 1965.
Wow.
And I said to him once, I said, is there any way we could start working on a project where we scan and create an archive of 50 years worth of the New Jersey Film Festival?
Wow.
But, like so many things back then, nobody was thinking ahead. Nobody was thinking, well, I may have a list of all the entries and whatnot, but, how do we actually go back and find the original film? So, it is a bit of a dilemma, but I do think that there's so much more that can be done. But the other side of that, too, is, people sometimes have limited funds when it comes to archiving.
Yes.
One of the organizations I'm involved with, it's really about trying to get people to raise their own funds to be their own curators of their own archive and then upload it to, the Internet Archive where they could be easily shared.
That's a great idea.
But it's also a challenge. So, we're going to be going to our last commercial break. I hope you'll stick with us. And when we get back, we will wrap the show. Don't go away.
I got an iPhone camera. I love to take a photograph.
Raising the consciousness as to why home movies are so important. This is the Home Movie Legacy Project with Rhonda Vigeant, and we'll be back with more right after these on Rockstar Worldwide. Are you excited about getting your home movies and photos organized, but don't know where to start? Well, the Association of Personal Photo Organizers, www.appo.org, can help. The photo organizers are made up of a community of people. They're organizers, photographers, graphic designers, storytellers, historians, people just like you who love photos, home movies, and most importantly, the stories they tell. Through training, education, networking, and collaboration, the Association of Personal Photo Organizers strives to advance this new and growing profession of photo life management. Our hundreds of trained personal photo organizers specialize in helping you rescue your irreplaceable photos and home movies and organize them in ways that make it simple to share your memories, lives, and traditions. Our goal is to help you make those distant memories tangible so you can cherish the life that you share with others. If you need help, look for a personal photo organizer near you by going to appo.org. We are excited and ready to help. DC Live, an insightful, entertaining look into all aspects of the music industry. Join producer, songwriter, musician, and former Air Supply and Eddie Money bassist Don Cromwell as he brings you live performances and interviews with new artists, songwriters, and behind-the-scenes professionals, as well as a vast array of musical talents and personalities. DC Live connects you with the artist. You'll never hear music the same way again. Host Don Cromwell brings you DC Live, Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Rockstar Worldwide and on demand 24/7. Rockstar Worldwide from Double Wide Productions. Welcome back to the Home Movie Legacy Project, showcasing compelling interviews with people who are telling their personal stories. Rhonda is all about preserving our visual heritage for generations to come before it's too late. So let's get back to the show. It's the Home Movie Legacy Project on Rockstar Worldwide. And here again is your host, Rhonda Vigeant.
And welcome back to the show. We were talking today kind of about Super 8 International, the international state of Super 8, and how even though services and products are shrinking in many countries, you know, we're very lucky. We live in a world today where products can be shipped overnight or fairly quickly to anywhere in the world. And while there may be less choices of places to buy products or get services if you're an analog filmmaker, those of us that are left are really passionate about it and want to make sure that people across the globe have access. So Phil, tell me a little bit about the global access packages we started offering a few months ago and what potential they give for people who, you know, do live far away from Burbank, California.
Well, it's actually super fantastic because we put a fiber optic line in here so that we could high speed out of here the data that we're sending out rather than on a physical medium over the internet. And I mean, I can't tell you how phenomenal it is to get a guy's roll of film in from Peru and transfer it, and then to be able to send it to him and realize that he's looking at it like 20 minutes after I finish transferring it. You know, just the idea of that, you know, in the film world, you know, it's just incredible. So clearly the internet isn't, you know, you can't send everything over the internet. You can't send big files. You have to use smaller files. But because it's Super 8 and it's often smaller, you know, kinds of file structure. And things like ProRes are, you know, perfectly adequate for most applications.
Sure.
So we can send up to 10 gigabyte files pretty easily over the internet. And
so that's like one roll of Super 8 in high def, or two rolls?
No, 10 minutes. It's a gig a minute.
Oh,
so
you're
that's
right,
like
right.
four rolls of Super 8.
That's pretty darn good.
Anywhere on the planet. So. You know, people testing their cameras, all that kind of stuff. That's critically important. People who are in foreign countries. We have several Brazilian wedding filmmakers actually who are using the service because of the import problems with Brazil. So, and in fact, those filmmakers don't even get their film back. They just take the digital files, and that way they deal with their import duties differently.
Right. But they should at some point get back their analog reels. But I see what you're saying, yes.
Exactly. But, you know, the internet doesn't go through customs.
Right. Not yet anyways. Right?
So until the Brazilian government has figured out how to tax them on the internet and the other governments, the internet is kind of wide open. So you can exchange your information once it's, you know, and that's what you're doing anyway. You're taking your Super 8, you're transferring it to files, and then you just want those files back. And I know Ivan had a situation once. He got down to Brazil, and there was something wrong with the file, and I didn't have a backup for him here. But if I had a backup of Ivan's stuff at that time, I could have just, and we had the fiber. We didn't have the fiber back then either. You know, I could have just sent him another copy. And for us, this is happening all the time. I mean,
things happen.
Things are happening. I had a girl actually just yesterday in New York City who got her files back. For some reason, they would play from the DVD, but she could not drag the files off the DVD onto her desktop. I still can't imagine, whether she was doing something wrong or we couldn't get it across to her. So finally we said, it's a fashion thing and it had to be edited into the fashion piece in New York. I mean, those guys don't wait for anything.
Right.
So we just grabbed the files and we dropped them over the internet to her. It's that easy to get stuff where it needs to go, particularly if it's an emergency situation where you could, maybe even deal with a more compressed version, or maybe it's not perfect in terms of the biggest file that you wanted. If you're stuck, like you were stuck, or like this girl was stuck, or like it happens at least every week.
Yes.
Someone comes running in, everyone's upset, they're all screaming because the file won't play, the disc won't open, the thing won't shut.
FedEx guy didn't leave the package.
FedEx lost the pack. FedEx lost the package on it. Somebody the other, a few weeks ago. Stuff's happening. But the internet, because we have everything here on our server for about 2 weeks after the job's done. So if the person doesn't get their stuff, it gets lost, there's a hang up at some point. We could just send it to them over the internet. It's been a godsend for us business wise. I mean, in terms of making people happy.
Yeah.
And then when you add that the glory of being able to like put it in France or put it in Spain or put it in Portugal, in the instant that you do it, as if that person's like right there with you. I mean, for me, it's just blows my mind.
Is watching dailies internationally.
Right.
It is.
Yeah, we can even make the New Yorkers think that we did the work in New York.
That's it. I mean,
no offense. I'm an East Coaster myself. New Yorkers, I love you. I know the feeling, right? You want everything in New York. And but we're your West Coast branch office, so
yeah, we're your brothers.
We're your brothers,
we're
right?
All from back there too.
That's right. And it's one world. That's why we call them global access, right? Yes. So as we wrap the show today, what would be your closing thoughts to anybody listening about, getting over their fear that they don't have local services?
I mean, I think you have to go to the international service. Look at the internet. Who does it? Who has it? It's very easy to do it. And then do it. Use those services. Here in LA, we can do it. We can sell the film. We can process the film. We can digitize the film, and you can send back to the internet.
Right.
What else do you want?
Yeah.
We don't sell champagne, but we sell film. Yep. We can process. We can, scan it, and you can have it back almost immediately. Mm-hmm. It's unheard of.
There's no reason not to do it. And even from those countries, we even people mail us. I got a roll of we have the film kit. I don't know where the guy got it. He's in Hong Kong. But the stamps are from Hong Kong.
Well, we sell it on Amazon. I mean, talk about another resource that's just so global and so accessible.
Yeah, I don't know if you can buy from Brazil from Amazon, but
you can.
You can.
You can, but you still want to face the
customs. Okay,
right.
Yeah, we still have to
deal
with
know
them.
everything. Everything is digitized. Everything is on a database.
Uh-huh.
Well, guys, we're coming to the end of our hour. I want to thank you so much for being here today on our show. And this was a great conversation. And it is a small world after all, right?
Yep.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for listening in today, the Home Movie Legacy Project. And until next week, where we have an awesome show, I'm going to tip my hat a little bit. We're going to have on Johnny Western, a well-known former DJ in, I guess, many parts of the West, who was just inducted into the Western Hall of Fame. And it'll be a great show next week as well. So until then, make it a good one. And that's a wrap.
Thank you for being part of the Home Movie Legacy Project with your host, Rhonda Vigeant, here on Rockstar Worldwide. Each week, you'll learn how to take an oral history and a compelling story that will make your great-great-grandkids laugh and make your parents feel young again and get that Generation Y interested in their family tree. This is a different kind of reality show, one that is revealed through the stories and frames shot long ago. So you can shift your focus, transform your understanding, and move forward in your life. The Home Movie Legacy Project. For more on Rhonda and the show, check out our website, homemovielegacy.com. Then be here next week as the journey continues. The Home Movie Legacy Project with Rhonda Vigeant. Thursday evenings at 7 Eastern here on Rockstar Worldwide.